Hi everybody, I'm Siobhan O'Brien. I'm a UEA student, I'm a first year pharmacy student, and I'm speaking to you because I have a healthy eating Instagram with 135,000 followers, and healthy eating is one of my passions. So my interest in developing a healthy diet began when I was about 16 years old. I got diagnosed with a stomach condition called IBS, which meant that a lot of normal foods that typical teenagers eat weren't really an option for me anymore. They made me feel really sick. And for a teenager, suddenly all the things I used to eat, I couldn't eat anymore. And I had to sort of very quickly figure out what I was going to take to school for packed lunches, what I was actually going to have for dinner, what I was going to tell my mum to make, since she didn't really know what she's doing anymore. So I started doing a lot of research online, trying to figure out what sort of recipes I can make that didn't contain the things that made me feel sick. And trying to test them out and figure out what to take with me made me realise that cooking was actually quite fun, and healthy food actually didn't have to be disgusting. And yeah, over time I started to become more and more interested in it, and it sort of became my thing that I like to sort of find recipes and think, how can I make this more healthy? How can I make it suit my diet? So I'm a pharmacy student. I chose this subject because I am really interested in the human body and interested in health and sort of interested in the way that they interact with each other. I wouldn't say that like my degree, I sort of chose it because I'm really interested in healthy eating, but definitely because I'm interested in health in general. And I do sort of quite like to take sort of like a holistic approach to it and see health as something which is sort of a combination of what you put into your body in terms of food and exercise, rather than just sort of medication for problems. But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm really interested in. So people always ask me, is it really difficult to eat healthy? Do you struggle to stick with it? Is it something that you have to sort of make yourself do? But to be honest, I've been doing it for so long now that it is just sort of part of my life. So I don't feel like I have to sort of force myself to have something healthy when really I want to have chips. I find myself pretty comfortably waking up in the morning thinking, you know what, I really want porridge. Um, yeah, it's not really a problem for me. So typically in a normal day, I'll typically have porridge for breakfast. I might have something like salad, or maybe like a veggie burger and some salad with that for lunch, or something to do with quinoa, sort of like quite a good mixture of sort of protein, fat, carbohydrates to give me lots of energy. And I find avocado on toast is probably one of my favorite things to eat. People often ask me, do you ever eat unhealthy food? Do you ever treat yourself, or do you stick to this really strict diet all the time? And I do eat things which you would consider unhealthy. I do sometimes eat chips. If I go out with my friends and people are somewhere, I'll be like, okay, I'll have chips, because that's something yummy and it's on the menu. I like to keep a balance. And I do like chocolate, though usually it is dark chocolate, which is actually quite good for you. But I don't find myself sort of punishing myself and making myself stick to a really strict regime. I quite like to keep a balance. I think it's quite useful eating healthy, especially as a student, because it's very quickly easy to sort of get bogged down with all the work and the stress and the late nights and things like that. And I find that eating healthy means I'm a lot better able to cope with things. So, for example, when I go out with my friends, if it's a night out, I find that the next day I feel a lot better than most people, because rather than coming back and having something really greasy like a kebab, I'll tend to come back and have something which is a little bit more balanced. I might have, for example, a bowl of cereal, some muesli or something like that. And I find that I don't feel kind of sick the next morning like a lot of other people do. And it gives me a lot more energy as well. A lot of my friends skip breakfast because it's too much effort, or they just don't have the time for it. Whilst I find that me having breakfast, especially something like porridge, which is really low GI and gives you energy for ages, I manage to stay alert and awake. So I started on Instagram quite a few years ago now, probably 3 years ago. It started off as just a personal account, and as I started developing my cooking, I started posting pictures on there of the things that I'd made, just because I wanted to share it with my friends. And using hashtags, hashtag healthy eating, hashtag vegan, etc. Very quickly, people started to jump on board and notice what I was posting and comment, how did you make this? What is this? How can I make this? And I started posting the recipe in the comments section, which then led me to develop a blog to make it easier for people to see the recipes. And it sort of spiraled out of there. And very quickly, I found myself with quite a large social media following, which has now reached 135,000. And it's quite incredible, really. It's allowed me to meet lots of other people who are interested in the same thing as me, and also help people out who've had similar problems to me. I've met quite a few of my followers before doing things such as meetups, and it's been really incredible meeting people who said, I used to feel so sick and lousy all the time and I didn't understand how to make healthy eating interesting, and seeing what you eat's given me sort of inspiration when I don't know what to have, which is a really quite a cool feeling. And yeah, I find that being involved with Instagram does sort of motivate me to continue eating the way I do. I feel that it motivates me to not be lazy and just eat something that's a little bit more boring, and it makes me be more interested in what I eat, a bit more variety in my diet, and just making it look a bit nicer. When you know that you have to take a picture of your breakfast, you're a bit more careful of the way you make it look. So it's been quite positive in that sense, because it gives me the motivation to keep going with it. And I've found that it's been quite interesting that it's motivated people around me to also consider what they're eating a lot more. So my parents have been more interested in seeing eating less meat. My dad's cut down on meat a lot since I've sort of explained to him that it's actually better to try and eat more vegetables and things like that. And they've become sort of more open-minded to it. And my friends have, said that they're quite surprised actually healthy eating isn't as boring as they thought it was. And they've tried things that I've made before and said, actually, this is really nice. How is this so nice? There's like no real sugar in it. It's just mashed banana or something. And it's quite good sort of widening it up to people and showing people that actually healthy eating can be quite interesting.